and start recording. Let me post announcements. Let's see recordings. Close that, it's fine. Hello, can people hear us? I don't have anyone in the chat just yet. I'm posting the announcements now. Post this. Oh, I see it. I hear it bubbling. The chat is bubbling. Some other announcements, and let's see, post this one. Post.
We could consider chat a pot of water. Because they're bubbling, and then they'll.
Oh my god, that's Cutie. Hello.
They're well, you said they're bubbling, and if they bubble enough, then they'll be boiling.
Oh no. They can be bubbling without boiling, like.
I guess they can be carbonated.
Or soap. Hello,
I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Sarah's being spooky today.
Being spooky today.
The Fox there with Craig IGN. Hello. Can you hear us fine? Is the audio okay? We should be live. Everything should be okay, I think. Yeah, audio's fine. So hello and welcome to another Resonance. I'm Froox, I'm here with Sarah, and we'll be answering any questions you might have about Resonite. Twitch is forcing me to watch as against my will. Computer, yes, it does that. Yeah, like we're here to answer any questions. Like it can be technical. It's surprisingly creepy. We're here to answer any questions you might have about Resonite. Whether it's like technical, like philosophical, like future, past, like whatever you want to ask about a platform, feel free to ask. You can even ask if you want personal things, like if you want to get us know more. There's lots of different things. Some questions we might direct you to some other office hours or some other places where you might get a better answer. Like for example, the moderation office hours. We have some very heavily moderation related questions. We might be asking the moderation office hours that happened an hour and a half ago, so you'll either need to travel back in time or wait for the next one next week. But there's a number of other ones like Primes at Tuesdays, there's the Art Team on Wednesdays, there's like a bunch of them. With that, we should be able to get started. We're gonna go through questions from Discord first, there's only a few this time, and then we'll go through the Twitch ones. And the only thing, make sure to put a question mark in your Twitch messages if you want to ask us something, because that way we will see it in our messages and we don't miss it. If it's just kind of within the chat, then we might miss it as it kind of scrolls through. So with that, let's see, I'm gonna make this, there we go. And camera stable, and we can start bringing the questions. So the first one from Discord is from Mint Shock. Mint Shock is asking, actually I need to duplicate it so I can actually read it. How did you land on Perflux as the name for visual scripting? So we had like an internal vote sort of, like we had like a bunch of like ideas for names that we kind of like voted on them. It originally ended up like being just Flux, but it kind of felt like a little bit like too generic, I feel. So it's just kind of like tacked into like the Protoflux, because like the way visual scripting kind of fits into Resonite, like, or it's like meant to kind of fit, is like it allows for like you can do very quick prototyping. So it's kind of like proto. It also kind of sounds cool and techy in a way. Although usually people call it like Flux for short, but Protoflux is like the full name. So like if you search it, which is part of like where we kind of attack the Protoflux. If you search Protoflux, that's unique, which makes it easier to kind of find if you like Google it or something. If you just Googled Flux, then you just find like tons of unrelated stuff. So it's kind of done, so it's more easily Googleable and searchable. But yeah, it kind of was, like lots of ideas for the name. The Flux ended up winning, like it just kind of sounded kind of cool, but on itself it wasn't sufficient, so it became Froox. Funny thing, during development, Froox, it actually had a code name, and the code name was Spaghetti. Because, like the joke, like you make spaghetti code, so it just wasn't Spaghetti. And once we picked the Froox name, I had to like go and like rename like all the classes and everything from like Spaghetti, like execution context Spaghetti this, Spaghetti that to Froox. Just like mouse replace. We're actually considering even keeping the Spaghetti name, like just calling it Spaghetti because it's gonna be funny. But we also have some businesses using Resonite, so it would be kind of weird. Be like, oh yeah, like you can code your business solution in Spaghetti, and it kind of wouldn't be good for that. Like it wouldn't kind of sound too good, so we kind of decided against it. It was just
it would have been so delicious.
It's delicious, yeah. But it's
Yeah,
that's kind of how it went.
You can still eat. Yeah, Jack mentioned you can still kind of find some like references like here and there that are left over to the spaghetti tip.
Yeah, there's like I think like people who participate in the beta, like I forget like we already renamed it or not. Yeah, but there's some leftovers when it was still called Spaghetti before it got renamed. Also, in regards for the secondary question, is it scripting or programming? Like I generally don't tend to differentiate the two as much. Like both are kind of programming. Like I don't see like I don't see them as like two very different things. So I don't particularly care. Like whichever people call it. And you can you can do either with it. So.
There's two different ways. They're like two different ways of programming, I guess. They're both programming though still.
Yeah. I think like scripting sometimes just like scripting an existing system, just kind of sort of automating some things, but also like you're still programming. Like the system's like an API and you're programming for it. So like I don't know. I feel like the distinction between the two is kind of weird. The next question we got is from I should probably make this a little bit shorter, but so it wraps. Papaltine is asking, have you tried building Resonite with your ready to run or other ahead of time compilation profiles to compare things like startup time? Ooh, so I haven't. I actually thought about like trying to do the ready to run, but I kind of forgot about it. Might be good to make a GitHub issue about it. Like that way, we'll remember and we can try and maybe see like maybe it heavily improve startup time. There's very likely trade-off. It's gonna increase the install size, but it might be worth it. Like if it starts up like significantly quicker. For ahead of time, like C# supports like various like ways. You can compile things as AOT, but for like ahead of time compilation, it doesn't mesh well with Resonite because we heavily use like generic types, and a lot of them are kind of figured out at runtime based on the content you make. So we kind of need like we do need the JIT compiler. Like it's very kind of inherent to like a lot of Resonite stuff. Otherwise, like you just run into some content just not working and exploding because it's been a bit since I looked into it. Like maybe they have some ways like where like you compile a lot of common things ahead of time, and then you essentially like whatever's missing the JIT compiler will handle. But there's also I know there's like one more limitation with it. You actually might get like lower performance with some things because especially with the latest like versions of .NET, it does like some like kind of profile-based optimization where you can figure out okay like you're calling these methods and these things like very often, so it's gonna like it has tiered compilation and it can actually generate like a lot more efficient versions at runtime. Based on the usage patterns of the code, which can also like it can devirtualize like a lot of things, which helps with performance. So I think, at least from what I remember reading, like the ahead of time, like even if it did work, like you might trade some performance, for that. So I don't think that one would be a good fit. The ready to run, I think that one would work, like, because, like, it essentially just does, like, a lot of stuff that JIT compiler does, like, ahead. It's sort of like caching for the JIT compiler, so I think it one might be worth trying out. So if you can make a GitHub issue for it, like, we'll see if we can, give it a try and see if it significantly helps with startup time.
Do you think type trimming would work too, or do you think that would be too much?
No, we don't want to. That's the thing. We don't want to trim any types because, like, we don't know which types will be used because it's like heavily on the user content. So, like, if you tried trimming types for Resonite, you would actually trim most of Resonite.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, this is not being used anywhere. Like, there's nothing that's actually like using this because, like, most of the stuff, most of the components, they're loaded like when the content's loaded.
Yeah,
so it's all, like, all dynamic.
They have that like underscore new method that's like weaved into them too, so they're not even instantiated the normal way.
Yeah. So definitely not like trimming because that would like the actually funny thing, I remember I was like reading a book. I'm kind of going off a tangent a little bit, but there's oh no, Sarah exploded. And they kind of wanted me to be here to hear the thing. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe his leap motion crashed. I see he returns in any moment. I kind of want to say this. I want to say the thing. I'll say it later. I'll bring the book thing later. We can look at the next question. So I'm gonna close this one. But yeah, make a GitHub issue, please. And the last question we got from Discord. Oh, there we go. There's Syra. I should have just waited a little bit. Hold on, let me see. Do we have power of undo? Haha, power of undo. We can just bring it back, pretend nothing happened.
That's weird.
That was weird. Too carefully motion. I almost moved to the next question, but I was gonna say that, like, the trimming. It reminds me. I was like reading it's like a sci-fi book by Greg Egan. It's called Permutation. Oh my god! Thank you for the raid. It's called Permutation Sci-Fi, and essentially like it deals with like simulated mind, essentially. Like, you upload yourself to the computer. But it's also like happening, like it's specifically taking place when the technology is very early. So whenever somebody gets uploaded, they cannot run at real time. Like, they run slower than the real world, and they've been like very aggressively trying to run faster so they can keep up with the real world. So one of the people in the book, they make like a very aggressive optimization program that tries to do like a lot of like trimming, and I think it uses like some artificial intelligence or something. I forget what it was. It's been like years since I read the book. But they use like something that like does very aggressive like optimization to optimize stuff that's not needed, and that system determines that they are not necessary. It's a person, and it trims them out so it doesn't simulate them at all. And it's one of those things, it's like they can make it way faster by just not doing the thing, but you're not doing the thing that you want it to do.
Yeah, the engine runs way faster out the engine.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just a funny tangent. Like, I just kind of get reminded of that. We've got a last question from Discord. I've got some popping in from the Twitch, so we're gonna get to those in a moment. But Sevek? I'm not sure. They have like a pronunciation help, but I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Sevek is asking, hi, I'm currently making JSX runtime for building structures for Resonite Link. I'm still trying to make it more reactive, and with Resonite Link support uploading specific fields by their ID without mentioning component IDs. Here's a sample JSX I made for creating slots for each user, and they like brought like a sample, but I don't think we're gonna like read the whole thing. Just gonna give you like a quick overview, like what it kind of looks like. You can check the Discord channel if you want to look at the full source. I don't think like that wouldn't be that much of a problem to add. We could add like another message type where we just specify like particle field. So if there's something you're interested in, make like a GitHub issue about it, and we'll see like if we can add it. With the way the code is structured in the engine, I don't think it would be too difficult to add. Like we can just kind of like because right now it kind of goes like you say, I want to update this component, you specify fields, and it kind of dynamically looks up those fields based on their names, like in the dictionary, and then it calls the method to actually update the members. We could just make a method where you say, like, I want to update this member, to this value, and that does it. So, it should be relatively easy to add. Hopefully, like, unless we can run into something weird, but make a GitHub issue, please. So with this, that's all our questions from Discord, which means we can move to the Twitch ones. And again, reminder, if you want to ask us anything, live on Twitch, it's make sure to put a question mark. Put a question mark. The way it kind of pops on our pinned messages, and we'll make sure we don't miss it. So the first question is from... Ooh, why isn't it pulling out? That's weird. Why cannot I pull the messages out?
It's because this map is really old and has a really, really old calling system in it for the areas.
Oh, how is it? But how is it not... Oh, this sucks.
Oh wait, no, I think I got one.
Oh,
I got it.
Oh wait. Oh jeez. Wait, how are you able to pull it, but I'm not?
I'm magic, I guess. I'm no.
Well, you'll have to be the question puller today. So Jack the Fox Otter is asking, why is mango? Because it's delicious. Yeah, it's just not doing it for me. That's so weird. My cursed systems. Can you pull this one? Thank you. Shadow X is asking, oh, desktop hand tracking. Are you using leap motion?
Yes, I am. This is actually still the original leap motion that I'm using, the original little silver, I think it's what is it called, the Orion model or something, or can't remember.
Orion's the newer one, I think.
Either way, yes, it is a leap motion, and I managed to coax it into actually working, and it actually works natively on Linux now, which is really cool. I didn't know. I just downloaded the Ultra Leap control panel from the AUR, and I plugged in my leap motion and enabled the service, and it works. I had to finagle a couple things with Resonite to make it work, but it goes. I can move my hands in desktop mode. I don't need VR. Who needs VR? I don't even need VR to grab this. No. Yeah, there we go.
Oh my god, that's so weird.
I don't even need VR. Who needs VR? I can also get people. I can get you.
No.
Get you. Come here.
No.
I actually unquantized my hand streams, so they should be perfectly smooth for you. Come here, Froox. Come here.
I don't like this. This is so weird. Why are such things?
It can be a little bit of an issue, but
I have the perception. This is so weird when it's when it's going at you.
Oh yeah, I still think that this is even better than some of the headset-based hand tracking these days, because I can whip my hand across the screen as fast as it goes, and it keeps tracking and I get the cool finger splay. And I don't know if you can actually cross your fingers on headset hand tracking, but I can cross my fingers here and actually see it. Even does good finger splay and thumb tracking and stuff. It's really, the new driver is really, really good. It's super good.
Yay. I mean, I've been working at it for so long, and making better with every release.
Oh,
Yeah, I might need to pull
sorry.
this one. I have no idea what it's like. Thank you. So the next question is from Haman10. Are there any plans to make a Linux native download of Resonite? So
That's the neat part. There already is.
it's kind of is, yeah. Like, but it's also like it depends what you mean. You might need to clarify this one because, so the way we run on Linux right now is like with the splitting, we actually split Resonite into two processes. There's the main engine, which kind of runs like pretty much all of the logic, like everything that's kind of happening. It runs audio, physics, interactions, networking, pretty much like all the game logic. And it's our own custom engine, and it's running as a .NET 10 process. On Linux, it actually runs as a .NET 10 native process. So it's not like, that main engine is not using Proton, is running natively. It has like, native versions of the, like, native libraries too. Like, ones that are not like C#. But the renderer, which is still like, using Unity right now for the rendering, but essentially that's pretty much the main thing it's just responsible for. The main process communicates with it through IPC, through inter-process, communication mechanism. The renderer, that one still does run under Proton. So we're actually using like a hybrid architecture, where if you're running on Linux, majority of the engine actually already runs natively. Only the render itself does not run, that one runs under Proton, which is kind of interesting because we essentially have, Linux native process doing inter-process communication with a Proton process, and it works. So if your question is like specifically if we would provide native render for Linux, we very likely would not do it for the Unity one, because back when we had a native one, there's actually lots of weird like issues that are like Linux specific, and Proton kind of gets around a lot of them. So we're kind of like probably gonna keep that one under Proton. Once we do switch to a new renderer though, that will probably change, because like the renders like will it's very, I think there's a good chance that the renderer we pick will actually have like a proper native Linux support. So we might switch to the whole stack being fully native. The decision has been made yet. It will depend, what choices we make, how good is the Linux support, how much extra effort it is. But if it's like, if it's not much extra effort, it supports Linux really well, we'll probably switch to that one being like native as well, and having like, pretty much no dependency on Proton anymore. But that's not been like, decided yet.
You can check there's like I think there's like that doc should still be posted about like the required like specs for like the new render. So if you want to if you want to take a shot at making a render, you can read that.
Not yet. We need to right now we're still in the first. That's the thing. Like we have a lot of people kind of jumping the gun, but we need people like right now. We still need to focus on finalizing the specifications. That's like what we need from the new renderer. There's like a few things, like there's like for example a few questions like that have been raised, for example with material stacking, and I haven't really seen like much engagement in that area. So I'm like a little bit like on like saying like okay, now we're finalizing this because it feels like we need to gather a bit more information. So interacting with it will help, even if it's like for example one of the things I ask is are there any effects to material stacking other than that could not be emulated by having the mesh? And even just saying no, like if you say like no, there are no effects, I have been like using it this way, I haven't like run into anything, that's still important for us to know, because right now if there's not really much response, we're like we don't know if it's people just not responding to it, not like interacting with it, or if it's people being like, well, I don't know if any like like negative effects, so like I'm not gonna say anything. So even just saying like I'm not aware of any effects, that will help give us more confidence that we can make a decision on the particle kind of feature. Or if you know of some effects, then that's also important to share it, because that will factor into our making decisions. but we're getting a little bit into of a tangent on this one.
So with your other hand?
Oh, well, let me see. Nope. Neither hand. Oh wait. Oh wait. I think I've been pulling them out, but they're just tiny. Oh, look, there's like a whole cluster of them. Why is it doing that?
Oh wow.
Hold on. I need to clean up.
Yeah, like I said, I think this world's calling system is a little bit old.
Yeah, it's cursed. Is the camera okay? So let me move things back to where they were. Navy 3000 was asking, could we have added a DevTool snap move? Like you can set a custom number, like 1. Now move the object XYZ with gizmo moves 1, 2, 3. So I'm not sure if I'm interpreting the question right. Actually no, like you're saying adding to the DevTool snap move. Yeah, that is something like we want to add. We actually want to add like, so the DevTool, it already has like some snapping features. And the way it's not fully expanded on, but there's sort of like, you know, the beginnings of it, where I can actually even show you maybe. Let me just spawn a quick DevTool tools. So there's already like some snapping functionality you can use. If I do 3D model, let's say do like a box, and then I do another, or let's say like I select this. If I, for example, go into multi-selection mode, I can select this, and when moving this, I can actually snap it, should be able to like snap it to like other gizmos. But this might be kind of tricky to do. Hold on, let me actually do it with 2 cubes, but it's gonna be easier. I'm gonna deselect, I'm gonna duplicate this cube. I'm gonna select this. Oh, I'm a dummy. What I need to do, let me move this. Hold on, I'm gonna move this out to make a little bit more space. You need to select one of those corners by clicking on it. So I click on it, and now this is selected. And now that can actually be used to snap to other stuff. At least, hold on.
You just select both?
I'm not... There we go.
Uh-oh.
It's kind of snapping weird. Yeah, this is not the best demo.
I think the gizmo snapping is a little old.
It is a bit old, but there is like some... We do have like a part like snapping functionality. For me, this might be easiest. If I pull this... There we go. So see...
Oh my god.
Oh my god, thank you, beat underscore.
Holy
If
crap,
I move it
how
this,
many is that?
If I move this, it'll snap. And if I move this, you see like it kind of snaps to the corners. So there's also other things like where you can actually create like a snapper grid.
If I just take a picture, it'll actually put it on the picture.
So if I don't actually remember. There we go. So it's under. If you go transform snapping, there's like snap grid.
Oh.
So you can create like a snapping grid, and now if I select this and I move it around, you see now this is snapping to a grid within the space. So we do have like some of that functionality already, and there's like actually a few more. And I think this is like a thing that a lot of people don't really know about it exists. So now you know it exists.
I didn't know about this.
What?
I didn't know about it.
Don't know about this. So yeah, like you can kind of configure the snapping grid too. So you can like, you know, say like you can make it bigger. You can change. You know, I can be like I wanna be like, you know, 0.2. So I'm gonna, you know, 0.2. So it's like snapping more. There we go. And you know, now it is snapping at these increments within this grid.
It's crazy.
So yeah, this is probably like a lot of people don't know about this. So like we already have like some snapping functionality, but you know the fact that like people don't know about it too much, that's part of the problem. So like hopefully this helps a little bit, but we do definitely want to expand on it a lot more because we want to like make it, you know, so it's a little bit more prominent, so like easy for people to discover. And so there's actually there actually is like tooling, because the whole concept of like how the snapping functionality has been designed for Resonite is think about how like when you do things in real life, like you for example like drawing something and you want to snap something, so what do? You take a ruler, you put the ruler somewhere, and then like you use it to like be precise. And the idea is like that we'll do similar tools. So like you maybe have like a tool that's like a ruler, and you'll be like, okay, snap this here, the ruler is here, and now I'm gonna be snapping maybe along this thing, or maybe I'm gonna be snapping like in a grid that I've placed like here. And the snapping grids, instead of being something that's like embedded into the tool itself, it becomes more of like a thing that's shared across lots of different tools. Let me actually, hold on, let me show the power of undo again. So I'm gonna bring this again, because you see, this is like, the snapping grid that I made. And this works, it works with a gizmo. So like if I move this with thing, I'm clicking it wrong. Come on. If I move it here, you see like it is snapping, so the gizmos work with the snapping thing. You can also make, rulers, you can snap things to a line, but the whole idea for the system is so like lots of different subsystems can all interact with the snapping system, not just the gizmos. So if I, for example, grab a brush, let me say do a geometry line brush, I will, start drawing. You see, this works with this. It works with the brushes too, and there's like lots of other tools that will work with the general snapping system. So we don't want to make the snapping be baked into the tool itself, because if we did that, then it only works with that one tool and nothing else. The way it is designed in Resonite, and we do need to expand on it, we need to make it easier to use, but we're gonna kind of follow this kind of design, is make a general snapping system, so we have like like essentially like we can place a grid in the world, and then like the tools will work with it, not just the developer tooltip, but also like brushes, so you can just draw stuff like this.
Yeah,
or I can like
work on. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I wanted to show that they even work on.
Let me finish. The other part is, if I grab a different type of brush, so for example, you have the convex hull brush, also just works with this. So I can, make shapes and snap them to the grid. So it is designed to be like a very powerful system. We do need to kind of expand on it. But yeah, like, yeah, I meant like kind of covers. Oh no, Insider died. But the idea is essentially, and this is kind of like how we design things in Resonite, in general. We want to make systems where, we get the biggest bang for the buck for implementing something. And if we spend a lot of time implementing, snapping, thank you for the bits. And we implement a system that only works with like one tool, then it works with only one tool. If you make a system that works with everything, potentially any system, then it works with any system, and it's a lot more powerful. Let me also get rid of this. But if you're looking for this, it's under transform snapping. And there's actually multiple like snapping. You can also make snapping, work. You can make snapping work. Make sure to just pull this out like this. I can make it go transform snapping. You can see there's a bunch of different ones that you can like play with. There's, for example, snap circles. So I can do this. This one, I don't think this has visual. Actually, let me do sphere. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Snap sphere. This one doesn't have visual either, but you see. So I'm gonna do this, and then I don't know where I actually played. I shouldn't have deselected it. Why did I deselect it? There we go. Sphere. So if I did I do it wrong? I think I might have done it wrong. What have I done wrong? Oh, I didn't attach. I'm a dummy. I didn't attach it. And I need to snap parent radius. Is it scaled weird? Or is it going? I'm doing something
What's
wrong.
going on?
Oh, I might need to attach a collider actually. Let me do. I haven't like used this one in a while. I do have like I do have a working version of it somewhere. Let me see if I can nab it. No, I don't know where I saved it. Hold on, let me do the grid again and have a look. Snapping, snap grid. Yeah, it does need collider, so here's the collider. So if I remove this one and then do snap sphere, the visual's wrong, but it should be able to interact now. There we go, there we go. See, now this is gonna like be like a surface of a sphere. Might be a little bit harder to see. So it does need a collider for it to work. But this is essentially now the brush is like snapping to the surface of a sphere. So if you want to draw, stuff like that, this kind of helps. And this will make it like, a little bit easier to see I drew like a sphere. Let's put it over there. And same gonna be, with the developer tooltip. So if I take this, now this is snapping to the surface of a sphere. So the system's designed to be very, very powerful. But it does definitely need it does need to be expanded on and made more visible so people know about it and it makes it easier to use. That's what we're gonna show.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt too much, but I wanted to show that it also works on pictures you take automatically, like you can draw on them.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the pictures actually, they do have like a snapper set up on them. So if you take a picture and you have a brush and you draw, this makes, whatever you draw, it makes it aligned to the picture. So, it's perfectly aligned. And it also will work, for the dev tool too. So if you if I take this, now this snaps, it snaps to the picture because there's a plane snapper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that kind of answers the question. It's kind of turned into a little bit of an unexpected demo. But I hope more people know about the system now, and hopefully even in its current state can be useful. But like I said, we do want to expand it, make it easier to use, make more tools, so that it's more intuitive to use.
It taught me something.
Yay. Oh.
Are you tiny still? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it pulls it out, but it's very tiny and it snaps out of my hand. So next question is from Oren Moonclaw. Not strictly Resonite related, but do you also feel internal pain every time you have to interact with the C# ecosystem? The language is generally great, but when you run into stuff like I recently had to deal with, where library for bhaptics uses some WebSocket library written by one dude, and said library violates the spec by treating HTTP headers as case sensitive. Oh my god, is it the is it the STA one? Because I've actually very recently removed that one from our source code and replaced it with different WebSocket host library. It's not released yet, but that one is weird. It's weird because it's the most popular library, but also once you kind of dig into it, there's a lot of bugs. And also the author of the repo does this really weird thing where they make lots and lots of commits, but the commits are just it just says edit it, edit it, edit it, edit it, polish it, edit it, polish it, and it's just absolutely trivial changes, just changing name of a variable back and forth. Nothing that fixes any problem, just to make it look like it's active, and they're not fixing actual problems. It's really weird, and I kind of got weirded out. They were talking about that one. That one's it's weird. The thing is, I wouldn't say that's a general problem with the C# ecosystem. That's just, some people making the incorrect libraries, wrong libraries. Like, you're gonna have bugs, or you're gonna make people making libraries that are not, like, as well designed, or maybe they, like, have, like, lots of issues, but I don't think that's, inherent to the ecosystem. On the other hand, there is a lot of really good libraries for C#, and I would say, like, almost like, on average, to me, it feels like C# has pretty good ecosystem. There's, like, a lot of, like, good code. Sometimes, like, for some things, you run into a problem where there's not, like, a good C# library, and you can have to integrate a native one. But overall, like, I would say the C# ecosystem, like, feels like... It feels very good. As you know, not to say there aren't issues, there are definitely a lot of issues, but, like, on average, like, I definitely like interacting with the C# ecosystem more than some other ecosystems.
Yeah, it is quite nice. I do like the plethora of libraries available and stuff.
There's not a bunch of, like, for WebSocket. If you're not doing, like, WebSocket server, you also might just, and using latest .NET, you might also just use the built-in one that, like, that's what we use. It runs pretty well. It's maintained, officially, so it runs pretty good. The only problem is, like, we also need, like, for Resonite link, we need WebSocket server, which you can't do easily natively, so, like, we have to use, like, a third-party library that does it. And I switched to another one that works pretty well. But yeah, like, you might give, like, a different library a try, I would say. But generally, I do like the C# ecosystem. Like, there's definitely pains and issues, but on average, I would say it's good. Next question is from Navy. Is bhaptic support going to be fixed soon? If not, it should be removed from the Steam page as advertised until it's fixed. I would probably want to try to fix it first before, like, we make, like, the changes, because usually we would, like, remove it if we decide, we don't want to support this anymore. So for this one in specific, like, what might help is, giving us a little bit, like, I haven't, like, looked into it a bit, so, like, it might be, like, worth, like, definitely, like, if you haven't, like, if the issue on upload, so it kind of, like, goes a little bit higher on the list, but I think, like, the issue with the one is, like, the bhaptics, they don't actually have like a native like a working library, because we are using a library from NuGet, but from what I understand, that one's kind of broken. And so, like, some people, like, modify it to, like, make it work, but I would need to kind of look into it more. So whatever context, like, if you know more into the issue, that might help to share it in the GitHub issue, so we can kind of, like, look into it. If there's, like, a good C#, there's good, like, C# like, library that, like, will work with it. If it's like, third party, that might help. Maybe we'll need to adapt the Unity one. But yeah, like, any context, like, any, like, information, it can help, like, get this done sooner. Next question is from Gray Foxen. They're asking, how does running headless on a phone work?
I mean, I can tell you.
Yes.
It's actually not really all that hard. If your phone is powerful enough, I recommend at least 12 gigabytes of RAM to have, like, a sort of, like, comfortable experience. You can grab a nifty little app called Termux, and then what I did was I installed an Arch proot into it, which is just, like, it just helps you chroot into, like, an Arch install pretty much. And then I installed .NET, and then I installed actually no, I have a script that downloads .NET for me, much like how the Linux build does, like when you run the game on Linux. And then I just used Depot Downloader to get the actual headless files. Much better than Steam CMD. Steam CMD is a little old and crusty, but Depot Downloader does work. And then I just ran the headless normally, pretty much, after that. so it's not super duper difficult. You don't even need root to run the headless, it just works.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like running on phone. It can like run surprisingly well, like especially with the .NET, like it's
Yeah, on my Pixel 7 Pro, it like maybe got like 7 or 8 people before it started to hurt.
Yeah, the can of furries on your phone.
Yeah.
Next question. I don't know why the polling is. Oh, jeez. Why is the polling so weird in this world? Definitely not streaming here again. Bidon is asking, how much longer will the render project be in spec mode before moving to phase 2? I don't have like specific amount of time. Usually with these kinds of things, it happens like once we kind of like feel confident, like, you know, this is in a good state. And part of this, you know, it's intuition, sort of, like, you know, going like through the issues. It also happens, like, you know, when we kind of like refocus back on it, like for a little bit, to like, you know, go through everything like in detail and like make sure like, you know, like things are like, you know, in a good place. There is it's kind of like when we recommend people, like, you know, please give us as much information as you can, like, you know, engage with issues, because if we go and look at it and we'll be like, well, we feel we don't have like enough here, we're probably gonna like leave it running, you know, for another month or two before we look at it again. So you do, please, if you can, do interact with it, give us like info, because that helps, you know, move things kind of faster and give us more confidence that we gathered enough feedback on things. So it's kind of like one of those things, like, you know, like once we're kind of like done and able to kind of focus on it a little bit more, we're gonna like, you know, go through everything, make sure like, how do we feel? Do we feel this is, you know, a good set of specs? Did we get like enough feedback? If it feels in a good state, we're gonna move it to the phase 2. If it doesn't, we'll probably give it more time. Or we'll need to invest more time on our end, which, you know, we'll have to evaluate if we can do that compared to, like, you know, other priorities we're dealing with. Which is, again, engagement kind of helps. Oop. Shadow X asking, what happened to the particle sliding feature? That one is almost finished, but I kind of need to like wrap it up and then kind of merge it with some other changes. But it also like requires sort of figuring out some like mod stuff, and I've had like a bit of an issue like where like the past few months like I've kind of been very brain foggy and kind of burnt out a fair bit, which made it kind of hard to focus on certain problems. So I've been kind of like, you know, focusing on stuff that's a little bit kind of easier to focus on in the meanwhile, to sort of like, you know, get some energy back, get like, you know, some focus back. And like once I kind of do, like I'll be able to like wrap it up. I do have like a bunch of like things I kind of started working on, but I just kind of burnt out on it. And I need to kind of get back to them, finish them up, like get them merged in. Let's see. Next question is from Nuki-kun. Can you get into that? How dynamic impulses are internally? We're using them for like function calls for modular system, but it runs every frame, so we're trying to keep them optimized, but we don't fully understand what they're doing on a C# level. So when you fire a dynamic impulse, it essentially will, you give it like a slot where to send the dynamic impulse, and essentially it'll recursively go through the entire hierarchy of that slot, of the entire child hierarchy, looking for receivers, and then like, you know, see if the receiver matches, and then it's gonna fire it there. So in terms of optimization, you don't want to target like deep hierarchies. If you're specifically targeting a module, try to target just the slot where the module is on, because the fewer slots it has to like go through, the faster it's gonna be. And we got lots of subs from BD_, thank you again. Angel Boy is asking, what's the world called? I was the one to tell you because of the bad calling system, but this world is called Tunture by Rayuvi.
Sorry, Rayuvi.
This is an update. Next question. Oops. Next question is from Zazie Cupcake. Do you ever see an external marketplace for projects, tools, textures, etc.? I mean, sometimes it can just be free items you want to share, but possible option for monetized packages. People could sell their own Blender stuff, etc. So if you're asking external marketplace, those already exist. You've got, Gumroad, you've got Jinxie, you've got like, lots of different things. So like there's already people like selling like stuff for Resonite, selling stuff for Resonite, on those kind of platforms, and some of it's paid, and they can include like either shared folder or they include like a Resonite package. So they already exist. I would say. We do want to have like one that's gonna build in game, so we have like a workshop, so you can like easily search it, easily spawn stuff. You don't have to like leave the game, and long term also have it so you can buy stuff directly in game, where portion of the proceeds can help support the development of the platform. So from our perspective, we want to like make like a built-in one, provide lots of kind of cool tooling for that. But external already exists. People can already do that if they want to. Next question is from the Wave ISR. They're asking, does Resonite have an economist and marketing team? Oh, and Serdred again. Keeps dying today. I blame leap motion. Anyway, to the question. The Wave ISR is asking, does Resonite have economist and marketing team? The answer is the first one is sort of yes. We like Bob the Good. He's our finance officer. He's handling like a lot of the projections, like financials and stuff like that. Unfortunately, right now, like he's doing it on his own, so we don't have like a team of like multiple kind of like economic people. I don't think we necessarily for the economic part. We definitely would need for some of the business relations things, like build like a bigger business team. So we have like one person that's kind of economist. For the marketing team, yes, we do have a team. Chroma's heading the marketing team, and there's also like Decoy and Rustybot who are working with him on a lot of the marketing stuff. Sometimes some other team members, like especially with the art team, they also like kind of help out with some of the materials. Next question, the pulling's really weird. Next question is from Zaravax VR. What is the meaning of existence within Resonite? A component pi 42? That's for you to determine. I'm always like of the philosophy is that the meaning of existence is whatever you make it. So meaning of existence within Resonite is whatever you make it to. The whole kind of point of this platform is like we are building a shared virtual universe where we try to give you superpowers, where you can control and shape the reality around you as much as possible. And then what do you do with it? That's up to you. You can, build cozy worlds, you can make games, you can, do meme shenanigans, you can explore the worlds if you'd like to do that. do your own, don't exploit somebody else's world unless you have, their permission. But we kind of make the platform into whatever we want, so you find your own meaning on here, and I feel like lots of people do, and lots of people have, like, different ways to use this platform.
I keep crashing.
I don't want to keep crashing.
I don't even render a crash either.
Weird. Linux issue.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. I think I'm also gonna kill you.
I have to pester. Angel Boy is asking, on the topic snapping brushstrokes, is there one that makes brushstrokes snap to any mesh shape? No, but that could be added. Make a GitHub issue. Next question is, I really don't like this spooling. I have to like grab the tiny ones. Fortunately, we got the snappy laser, so it's gonna easy to grab the things from distance, but still annoying. Zerafax VR is asking, what is a gloopy? Let me answer that with a meme that's visual. This is a gloopy. It's our logo, which is both 3D and 2D at the same time. What is beauty? I'm gonna put it here in the background. It's gonna just be, let's see, it's gonna be chilling there. There we go. But yeah, gloopy sort of like, it kind of started, I think, as a joke, and it sort of caught on, like, it's the name for our logo, so people call it gloopy. Actually, hold on, I have one more meme for you. I have one more meme, if we can find it quick. Where is it? I hope I saved it. Did I save it? Oh, I might not have saved it. I don't have it. I have this one. Can make gloopy out of Mike and Ike's. Yeah, I was like looking for the meme like where it's like Kiki, Boba, and gloopy. But I don't have it saved, unfortunately. Otherwise I would have shared it with you. I can find gloopy everywhere, like, like this slide. Which we can put here, just, there we go. It's gonna be chilling, chilling over there. There we go. So Aaron was saying, WebSocket stuff, now it's websocket.net. I don't actually know that one. I'm not sure, I have to see the repo. I don't know if this is in context. Xerox asking, in marketing, currently Resonite still has barrier of entry, especially if it works, they still have to do. So, there's like one thing that like we kind of keep running into is like, there's like this kind of philosophy is like until everything's kind of perfect, everything's perfectly polished, let's not do any marketing. But generally I feel that's kind of like bad mindset, because you need to grow, you need to get more support, and in order to polish things and make them better, you need support. And to get support, you need to do marketing. So it's kind of this weird like catch-22 situation, where if you want things to be like polished and perfect, you need lots of time, and for that you need lots, like, you need money and find, like, and support to be able to get there. But if you don't do marketing, then you don't get there. And there's also like another part is like things will never be perfect. Like there's always gonna be something that frustrates some people. There's always gonna be a barrier for some people. Like over the years working on things, one thing I learned is you'll never have things perfect. There's always like you fix, you can fix a thing that like people say is the biggest problem right now, that's preventing a lot of people. There's gonna be a thing after that. And then you fix that, there's gonna be a thing after that. And you fix that, there's gonna be another thing after that. Like you're never gonna get things perfect. Like that's just, it's not like, plausible. So if you wait for things to be perfect, you essentially will be waiting forever. You have to do marketing, you have to do promotion and get more support to be able to keep going. That's not to say, we don't want to improve things, we want to improve things, but you do those things in parallel. What it can affect a little bit is, how you do marketing, because you might want to, maybe focus, say like we have like strong creation tools, thinker tools, in-game like scripting and programming, and there's a lot of things where a lot of people have fun with it, despite the barriers. You want to bring more people like that in. It's also, if you look on other platforms, like say you consider something like Second Life. It also has like, quite a barrier to entry, like to a lot of things. There's like, a lot of complex UI, like, it's also not as easy to get into, but they're huge. Like, they have so many users and they have like so much support. So it kind of shows, like you don't need things to be polished. You need to have something good. And you need to show people the good things, because once people know, like there's like a lot of fun to be had. People become a lot more kind of forgiving for like, the issues. People have more motivation to get over those. And you do want to remove those. Like, like I'm not arguing against that. Like, we want to remove the frustration points, but there's always gonna be more of them. But also, like, you need to get out of that, like, catch-22, like, problem where, like, it's kind of like chicken and egg problem. Like, to make things polished, like, you need more development, you need more developers. For that, you need more money. To get more money, you need more, you need more people, like, playing the platform and supporting the platform. But for that, you need marketing. You need to, like, get out there and grow the community. So it's a thing that kind of happens together. Like, you don't want to be, like, you don't want to be, like, waiting for the next thing, because then you end up waiting forever. And that's kind of like, I feel like a slump, like, we run into for a good while. Because long back, like, with the previous project, but there's also, like, with Froox engine, there were so many more issues, like, way more issues than right now. We don't have, like, a good IK, like, at all. Like, I know there's, like, issues with the current IK, but, like, the one that was available, like, was abysmal. Like, nobody wanted to use it. There were, lots of performance issues. Like, it would, like, the garbage collector in Unity was even worse, and it would, like, you would literally just freeze every minute for a little bit. And, you had, like, a lot of the tools weren't there. The UI was, like, way worse. Things were, like, a lot, like, you had no dynamic bones, for example, But we showcased, like, the fun stuff. We showcased, in-game editing. We showcased the scripting, and that brought in people. That brought in the community, and people enjoyed the platform despite, stuff that was missing and stuff that was, far from perfect. And I think that's something people forget about. And then we kind of stopped doing the marketing, because we're like, well, there's so many, because as the community kind of got, like, a little bit, like, bigger, there were, like, people like, well, there's, like, this thing, and we're like, well, we're just gonna fix those, and then we're gonna do more marketing. But then more people brought in, and it's like, and they're like, oh, this issue, so we're gonna wait a little bit more, until fix those. And then realized we're just waiting, like, year after year, because there's always something. And then we kind of forgot, like, like, when things were way worse, and we did, like, promote the platform and showcase people the fun stuff, it worked. It brought in people. And last year, was it last year? I think it was, like, last year, like, we actually ran a test, like, with some YouTubers, where we invested, like, a relatively small amount of money to get some sponsored videos. And, and just kind of see, like, what happens. And what it actually did, some of those videos, they actually brought in quite a bit of new users and quite a bit of new support. Like, we literally saw, like, if you look at our recap streams, like, we literally saw the graphs, change. And it's hard to argue against numbers. Like, it's hard to argue that, like, the marketing is not important to do when we have the numbers that it makes a difference, that it works, that it helps us. So I think it's a thing we want to do more marketing, and we kind of do it in parallel, like, with improving things. It's things you do at the same time, because the way I like to look at it is, like, it's almost like every time you do marketing, every time you showcase the platform, every time you share something cool, it's like you cast a net. Like, it's almost like, imagine like you're catching, like, the new users are fish, and you're casting a net, and all the like issues, they're like holes in your net. And so, like, when you catch fish, like, you're gonna lose a bunch of fish. Like, there's gonna be people like who will have like one issue or another, but you're still gonna catch some. Gonna be like people who are be like, this is interesting, and they'll find the platform fun, and they start playing it and start supporting it. So you don't stop casting the net just because there's some holes in it, because you don't get all the fish. Because if you just stop and you wait for the net, like, to be perfectly fixed, you will go hungry, because you're not catching any fish. And, catching, some fish is still better than, doing none. And that's kind of the analogy I used. I don't know if that's one, like, but hopefully it helps, like, illustrate, just the kind of the mechanics of it. And also over time, as you keep, like, you keep casting the net, you keep trying to get, like, more users, you keep fixing the net, you keep plugging the holes. So the next time you cast it, you get more. And next time you cast it, you get even more. But the important thing is you don't stop, you don't stop casting the net. So I hope this kind of helps. It helps understanding the mindset, like, a bit, and also, like, the experiences, like, we've gathered over the years. Next question. Next question is from Navy 3001. Any update if a work is done for built-in user calling system? There's not. Oh, I'm sorry, that again. We got called. But no, like, right now we're not working for built-in user calling system. We do have, like, some other focuses. Like we said, like, we do want to do, like, other things for performance, but we're gonna focus on some other things in the meanwhile, because we did, like, a huge performance update, and we kind of need to do some other things, like, before we focus on performance again. You can also check, like, you can help, like, by giving apples for the issue, because we kind of look at it like it's not like, like one-to-one, like, where, like, we're necessarily going to work on the highest issue, but just seeing it, these are the things that people are currently interested about. That kind of helps us, decide when to prioritize things, even if it's, like, going to be a little bit later. And I don't know if there's actually an issue for this one. What we probably want to do first is, like, we want to do the variable rate update system, which could help a lot with performance. Like, you don't even need necessarily calling, because the system could, like, balance itself, like, a lot better. It's yeah, that would probably be, like, kind of good, like, base for that, because, like, they might not even, like, need, like, the, calling as much, like, because we probably, for the calling, we'll do some sort of, like, billboard on imposters in the system, but we're probably gonna, like, wait until, like, the next update for performances.
Did you almost say imposter syndrome?
Maybe, I don't know, my brain's a bit fried. The next one is from Check the Fox Author. Check the Fox Author is asking, while designing Froox engine over the years, did you ever make a design decision that you end up regretting later down the line? Oh my god, many times. I would generally say, like generally I'm kind of happy, like, with all of the design decisions, because they kind of keep this project more manageable, but there's definitely been a good chunk where I got burned. And some of that is, like, when people ask us, just do this thing quick, just make a quick change, like, polish it later. That's usually, like, when I end up regretting decisions, because problem is with a special platform like this is, like, if you do something that's, like, just a quick fix, if people can build around it, they will end up building around it, and then, like, it becomes baked in, and then you can't change it, not at least without, like, a huge amount of effort. So there's been definitely a good chunk. Like I've run into a lot of those like during the splitting, where I just kind of like willy-nilly kind of expose some things without like thinking that much about them. I was like, it's just gonna be cool to expose this thing, and then it took like there were some things that literally took like a month or two to like just resolve all the weird issues because of those decisions. And it's oftentimes like the cost that people don't think about. It's like there's some things you can do quick now, like it takes 5 minutes to do, but it's gonna cost you a lot more time down the line. And there's a lot of things like a lot of people don't realize, especially if people are like not developers, that like it's you don't have just the cost of adding something, there's also the cost of maintaining it and changing it if you like rework the system. So it is it has been like a bunch of them like that. I'm kind of like thinking if I can like like any kind of examples is like some of that, like actually one example is like the simple avatar production, because that's like literally like when it was added, like somebody was just like like I forget, it's been years and years ago, but like the way it was asked, it was like just something very simple. It doesn't need to be complex, it doesn't need to cover all the cases, like just something that like doesn't allow to just save the avatar. So like the system was made to do just that. And then people were like, well, you can get around it this way, and you can get around it this way, and you can get around it this way, and you can get around this way. So we kind of started patching it, but then we ran into issues where, like, because it wasn't designed for it, it kind of get getting more convoluted, and things where some of the patches, they would just make then like it would make things explode. So we reached a point where we're like we're not doing more with the system, we're gonna designing a proper one. So there's only like one example. There's like bigger ones, like I remember like a lot of the systems like end up like a lot of the systems actually got like reworked. And like for example like the Protoflux, the scripting engine, then one is based on a lot of like learnings I had from previous previous things I worked on, where I made like some design decisions that I wasn't quite happy with, and I got a chance to like kind of change them and correct them and make things kind of better, learn from those things. But the important thing is, one of the things I always like pushed very strongly is following certain principles when designing the engine, making things modular, making them well contained, well abstracted, because what that does is, even if there are like mistakes and I decide to redesign a system, it's feasible to change it. Like there's been entire subsystems which I completely replaced with a custom system. For example, the particle system. There were some decisions in it one that made it a lot harder, but on like overall, like it made it so we could like still feasibly replace the system with a completely custom one, while preserving existing systems, and like having things kind of look the way they used to. Same, with like the other systems, like for example audio system. But the audio system is actually another word examples. Like in general, we kind of avoided adding certain features, which made it easier to like just completely replace it. But there was like one issue, for example, with the audio reverb, because the audio reverb, we just kind of exposed it, and then we found, oh, like we can't really replace this one with an equivalent one. So I actually had Sire like look into like research things, and then like he found the Zeta reverb, and then blew his ears a few times to like try to get the Zeta presets as close to the previous ones, but it does sound different because it is a different system, and the one that Unity uses is not like really available. There's not a replacement for it. So there's another kind of like thing like where it was a bit of a regret, like like I should have like been more careful exposing this. And a little bit of like frustrating thing is like sometimes like people ask us for things and we'll be like, we don't want to do it this way, we don't want to take the shortcuts because that's gonna cost us down the line, and people don't understand that, and I wish more people did. But a lot of that kind of, when we have like pushback and we're like, we want to do like, we want to do it this way, that's based on the experience from making those mistakes and then having to pay for them and not wanting to, pay the same price again in the future. Next question is from Tom Tam. Let me make it bigger. Oh no, Sarah crash. Sarah's very crashy today.
It's like a core dump that's happening.
Weird. Tom Tam is asking, would you consider adding mute toggle button next to the context menu or something similar for that? We don't have to go in the dash and mute it there. Aha, there already is. Let me change the camera. I'm gonna do another showcase. Make sure to do manual. So, what am I gonna do? Let me just slide in here. Hello. I'm gonna enable private UI. Let me make sure I don't have, there we go. So render private UI, so you'll be able to see my dash. So if you go in your dash, go to settings and user interface, and there's a cool feature that like not enough people know about. Let me see, where is it? It's called facet anchors. So what you want to do, enable facet anchors. You have to like toggle this on. Once you have this on, what happens is like you have the button that opens and closes the dash. Press the same button on the other controller and you get these. So these are facet anchors, and what essentially it is, you can place any piece of UI on these. So what I've done for mine, you can fully customize them. You can like stuff that you want to do, have like quick access to. You can just put it there, and I have the voice options here, so I can just be like, just like that. So there is like a feature for this, the fasten anchors, and it's like it goes beyond that because you can pretty much place anything. I have like a whole bunch of stuff. I also have like stuff here, and it's like very easy to open and close. Just press the button. I have like what's all the stuff, like I have the online mode. I have like volumes. Oftentimes like I find this like super useful because if like there's music that is too loud, I can just be like, or it's too quiet, I can just be like, I can adjust voice, I can adjust my no-clip speed. Anything you also find, in these settings. For example, say, the finger photo gesture. You want it to be easily accessible. Enable the edit mode, so now this is in edit mode. And you see like, I have like the grid. And I can literally take this by the little like, dots, grab this. Now I get this. And I can just place it there, and it's gonna truncate. If I pull, I'm just gonna, not placing it super nice, but you see now I have the finger photo gesture setting, and now it's on, and I turn the edit mode off, and I turn it off, and now can't do it. And if you don't like it, you can just pull it out and just delete it. And pretty much any setting. Anything in your dash, like in the settings, you can put on these. So if you have a setting you're adjusting frequent play, put them in your facet anchors. It's super powerful, it's like super neat. Same like, with like the home, like any other facets, like, you can like pull them out. I have like some of mine customized. It's a very powerful feature. And I strongly recommend, like, if you're getting like used to Resonite, we don't enable it by default because we don't want people to be like overwhelmed at start, like with like lots of UI on their hands and everything. But once you start using it more, we encourage people to start customizing Resonite and your UI experience. I'm gonna turn this off and move the camera big. Huh? What? Why is it moving so slow? The camera's being overly dramatic. Hold on. Camera, come on.
I bet the slot that we're under is really, really small.
Oh. Oh, maybe that's why the pulling is so weird. Oh, there we go. Hi. that was overly dramatic for no reason. But
Just stone scraping noise.
Hopefully, oh my god, somebody had like make a clip and make a scraping noise with it. But yeah, hopefully this kind of helps. Like this is like one of my, I designed it and implemented it, but like it is one of my favorite features. I wanted to add it for a while, and I added it. I was like, yeah, because this one's gonna make facet anchors. Use them. They're super cool. Let's see. Next question is from Nukikun. Nukikun is asking, let's put it here, there we go. Back on dynamic impulses and such. I know dynamic variables are supposed to be pretty optimized. What is the internal difference between dynvar input and re-dynvar modes? Would it be particle intensive to have dynvar point directly to dynamic impulse receiver slot? I'm a bit confused because like dynamic impulses and dynamic variables, they're technically two separate systems. So like that doesn't really make much of a difference. Like like I'm a bit confused. Like
if you're talking about like making a dynamic impulse trigger point directly at a receiver's like slot, so it doesn't have to really do any hierarchy searching using a dynamic variable. Yeah. You can do that. That's fine. It's not really like, I don't see that as anything terrible. I don't think it's inefficient or anything.
Yeah, if you're like using a dynamic variable to like give, like where it needs to fire, then you could do that, but it sounds a bit convoluted to me. For like the difference between dynvar input and re-dynvar nodes, dynvar input is bound to specific variable. So like it's like when you put the name of it, it's gonna link up to it and it's gonna efficiently know when it changes, and it's gonna trigger evaluations to happen automatically. Re-dynvar node that's more like an action. Like you do like a dynamic lookup, and actually do multiple lookups, even in a for loop. But it's a lot less efficient because it has to do the lookup every time. So generally we recommend people, if you can, use the dynvar input node. That's going to be much more efficient. The only problem is, like it's bound to one specific variable. So if you need to dynamically read different variables from different places, then you need to use the re-dynvar node. But that's more like, like an action you take rather than like it being like monitored. It also, like the re-dynvar node doesn't let you know when the variable changes, because the variable you're reading can be is not bound to any specific one. You give it at every point you read, you give it the one you want to read, and you can give a different one, so it doesn't know like which one would it bind to.
Yeah, make sure your dynvar input nodes are parented under your dynamic variable space too. So I know some people might run into that.
Next question is from TomTom. TomTom's asking, is there any way to play all builds of the game? Could be interesting to look at. You could fetch them like with those Steam Depot utilities. Like there's like a way to download like you can kind of download like the old builds. It's not like officially supported. We also generally don't. Right now, like we don't like support like the old builds, so like it's kind of you to do it at your own risk, because like there's some things like you load an old build. We make sure like things are backwards compatible, so new builds should preserve your old stuff. But if you use old build and, for example, your settings or your homeworld has like new things, there's a chance it might break if you load it on the old build, because the old builds are not fully designed to like be able to handle stuff from new builds. So that is a risk you're taking. If you want to play old build, I would probably recommend it in sort of read-only mode. Like add like the never save settings, never save dash, so it doesn't end up like messing your stuff. Oh, I forgot to delete this one too. Yeah, this polling is annoying. Here we go. An update. Navy 3001 is asking, are there plans for events if people work on worlds they made, retain people in worlds? Example could do Resonite yearly rewards at the end of the year, take top 10 most popular games, social art, and vote winners and get a prize. So we don't have like current plans to like do anything like any prizes like that officially. However, there is one held by the Creator Jam, which is a non-profit, where right now there's actually an ongoing event called MMC, the Metaverse Maker Contest. It's running through the month of February, and essentially people have 1 month to create pretty much anything, like a number of different categories, and compete for prizes. So that one's probably the closest to what you would want. And as part of this, we actually showcase some of the worlds. So there's during March there's gonna be the judging period. Then there's gonna be some winners, and the Creator Jam itself. They at the end they will run through the most popular ones, usually the winner worlds, and then also typically what we've done in the past years, Nexel on our team, he usually does a walkthrough through his worlds and then posts it to our YouTube channel. So the most popular worlds from that end up being showcased. There's also some other showcases. Recently we just published a video on Creator Jam, going through some of the recent worlds that were made and kind of showcasing things. And there've been kind of other streams as well. But yeah, there's already a number of kind of community kind of events, and the Creator Jam itself is they are hosting a weekly event. It's still going on right now, where or did they close already? They might have closed already. Actually, they were doing World Hop this weekend, but they host a weekly event where people can work together on things. So those things are already kind of going on in the community. And we generally want to encourage, community to do more of these, because if we do official ones, it doesn't scale as well, especially as the community grows. But the community ones, scale a lot better. But we already, do a fair bit, and some of it's kind of done in the community. And for the prizes, again, MMC Probo is the biggest one right now. Next question is from Angelboy VR. I was always curious who programmed the entity of dynamic bone system in Resonite. It was you, Froox, who decided to make coding dynamic bones the way it is. And is it possible to make dynamic bone system in Resonite that is more like Fizzbones in VR chat? Yeah, I wrote it. It's been long ago. I kind of designed it in a way that made most sense to me, I guess. It's been a while, so I don't know which part you're specifically kind of talking about. I don't what you mean the way it is. I don't know what it means, because it can mean lots of different things. Because you can look at it from technical level. You can look at it, for example, I end up using certain type of simulation that scales well, with varying frame rate. But I don't know, this is a little bit too vague. It's similar, when you're asking, make it more like Fizzbones in VR chat. I don't know what that means, unfortunately. I'm not familiar with the Fizzbones in VR chat. It might be better to ask, for specific features or specific, behaviors, because then I can be yeah, we can make it do that, or we can make it do that. But right now, I'm sorry, I don't know how to answer this. It's a little bit too vague. Next question is, the wave Isar is asking, could it be possible to separate instances into stable and experimental instances, allowing stability on one hand and experimentality exploration for the savvy? So the question is, do you mean like instances like, that people host? If so, I mean, the question is like, what is like separation you have in mind? Because if it's just like, it could be just like a label for the world, where like, one of the things we kind of wanted to add for the sessions is where you can sort of like, set like the vibe of the session. Like, is this more like a chill social session, like low energy, you just want to hang out, talk with people, maybe watch some videos, like, or do you want like, crazy, chaotic, sandbox session where like, everything's exploding and the session might explode? I think that might help maybe with something like that. I don't know if that's, along the lines you're thinking, but I feel it might kind of help so people know, like, when you're getting into a session, you know what you're kind of getting into. But yeah, that's kind of thing I can think of. You might like, if it's like, if you wanted something different, like, feel free to clarify. It's not pulling out. Why isn't it pulling out? This word is cursed. There we go. Servax VR is asking, where do you access those anchors? I'm actually not sure which anchors you mean. You might need to clarify, I'm sorry, like if this was like in context of something. Oh, just saying, the ones from your hand. I recommend just rewatching, like, but because I kind of showcase it if you missed it. But in short, you go to settings, go to user interface, and scroll until you find facet anchors, and then you enable use facet anchors. You should be able to like watch the recording of this on YouTube, so you can kind of go back and see me do it. The next question is also from Zervax. Come on. Zervax is asking, would there ever be network compatibility layer check? There already is. Like when you actually establish session, Resonite will sort of like, when you're connecting to the session, it'll kind of ask, what are the available, like, data types, like, the session. It does like a bunch of like structure hashing. So it kind of like, hashes the structure of components and other data types. And if that doesn't match, it'll fail to connect. So it already does that. That way, like, if it didn't have that, like, and it kind of didn't used to have it as strongly, well, it kind of had like a global one. And some people would like, make it ignore that, and they would join a session, and then it would like, they would crash because they would try to do something that their client didn't understand. Now it's a lot more kind of robust, where it's more modular, so it can like, you can have like loaded modules in the system, and if they are not used in the session, then you'll be fine, because like it'll be like, well, I'm not gonna allow any data types from these modules, only these data types are allowed. So it's a little bit more kind of fancier now, but it does check if the, if both ends are kind of compatible. We've got Andre from Navy 3001. They're asking, regarding question for events, I know about MMC. It's not what I'm asking about. MMC, you make a world and never touch it again. This idea, you keep updating it, working on it, because if your work is good, at the end of the year, you could win. I don't know, like, about, like...
Never touched it again.
Yeah, there's, like, some worlds, but it's also, like, like, it's a little bit weird, like, doing sort of, like, something that goes on for that long, because, like, usually people are not able to dedicate, that much of a time, and it's kind of, what are the judging criteria? Like, what is the... It makes it kind of weird. There's a thing I would kind of like... would be interested, like if MMC would do at some point is like, say like have like one extra award for worlds that like, got a bunch of polish since, publishing, but I don't know if that's something they would be interested in. But like doing like a, ongoing like year-long competition, like it's kind of... I don't think it's sustainable because like, you... Like there can be like lots of worlds, and how do you like, fairly judge like everything that's, on the platform? I don't know, I don't know how that would like work, like, logistics wise. It might be like interesting, like having like some incentives, like maybe if it was like kind of community based, like, like people vote, but then also like you run into issues where it kind of becomes like, a popularity contest for things. It's I don't know how would like the logistics of something like that work, and like, what would the prizes be, and like what would be the rules of the competition. It might be kind of tricky to do something like what would you even like be like, for example, winning? Like, is it like a monetary prize? If you have monetary prize, then like, there needs to be like pretty well established rules. And that also like, now that kind of invites, ways to kind of cheat the system. Like if you make something a popularity contest, people can just like, get like somebody, like they can get like a group of people, like, to just kind of like up the stats without having like genuine engagement with the world, and just so they can like, win the prize. And it just kind of makes it a bit weird. It's kind of one of the reasons like MMC actually has like, judges, because we can, we don't want somebody to be disadvantaged, like, disadvantaged by not having, as many people they know to like, check out their, contribution. Because sometimes like we see like, there's worlds, there are really good worlds and people are generally popular, but also like those groups, they're like, very well known. But there's also worlds and submissions made by people who don't have as much like, network, like, network pull, and they make like a really cool thing that deserves to be more popular. So it's I don't know, it's like, I don't know, I can't like really, like, I'm not like saying necessarily like we wouldn't want to give some incentives, but I'm not sure how would something work like logistically without having, lots of issues. The other part is, like, we probably need to also like raise money for it, like right now, because like, we don't really have like the budget for like, any like big prize pool. And like, if you're doing that, like one thing that might be maybe better doing is like, and this is actually something that some people already do, is like, make their own like, Patreons, for example. So like if there's like ongoing world and they're making updates and making cool things, you can support them. So if the community would already want to support like good creators, there are like, other avenues to do that. I know there's like, for example, the Sound Egg, like, has like Patreon, the Blood on Clock Tower game, they have like a Patreon. So maybe this could be like a better avenue to like encourage people and encourage like, creators that keep like working on things and updating stuff. For like this like year-long kind of like, like usually like if to win something, it needs to have like well-defined competition rules, and like this to me like intuitively feels too fuzzy for that to work. And Neo's adding, like, to add to the idea, so if your goal is like, to add to the worlds that are not done, worlds keep people engaged, not just make something that's it. And there's like one part, but it kind of has like, the kind of popularity thing, because like you can like, especially if you have something running that long, like there would be like ways to kind of game the system. So it's a question, how do we make sure it's actually people, like, how do you measure that people are engaged? How do we make sure, like, it's a genuine popularity and not people just, gaming the system and, like, doing, like, a fake, popularity. Like, for example, like, like, say, like, you make, like, tons of, like, fake users, you load them up in the world, and, like, they don't really do anything in the world, but, like, it will show us a stat, there's a lot of users in that world. We would have to, actively go and check, like, is this genuine, thing? And it doesn't become, like, sustainable, especially doing it over the whole course of a year. Like, I don't see, like, this, like, I don't see, like, the logistics of this right now, how it would work.
I honestly think the major limiting factor is really just the fact that people have jobs, man.
Yeah.
People got to do stuff in their life.
And there's also, like, on our end, like, we would need to, like, take a good chunk of our time to, like, keep up with things and, make sure, and, like, doing that for the whole year, that's, like, we pretty much need, like, pay a dedicated person for that. And even then, like, I don't know. Yeah, there would be, like, I don't know, if, like, more kind of concrete is maybe, like, we could consider some stuff, but right now, I don't see the logistics of it. Shadow X, will the variable rate update system allow update rates faster in real time? Like, I'm stepping a physics sim multiple times per update. No, I would say it's a different system. Like, if you want to, like, kind of do that. Yeah, like that one. I mean, maybe like there could be, like, mechanisms to kind of just, like, do, like, kind of sub-stepping, but it's not like its goal. Usually the goal is kind of doing less than one, like, doing, one every other frame or every third frame. Maybe you could, like, call something to consider if you, like, want to, like, add, like, extra, but, like, I feel usually you do that, like, for very specific systems. Like, for example, for physics, you might want to do that to get more accurate simulation, but it doesn't benefit every system. If you have a, like, system that, for example, evaluates, say, color of something, changes over time, you don't need to do it twice per frame because you're only gonna see one result, and it's not like, and doing it multiple times per frame is not gonna help, it's not gonna contribute to that. Physics system in particular is also kind of separate from the, like, update system. Like, it's more kind of integrated because there's, like, the update system where physics system is actually not running because we're making modifications to it, and then, like, once the main engine's done with the modifications, we let the physics system run, and do its, like, own simulations and things within its own update system. So I would say that's a separate system. The next question is, looks like a clarification for dynamic bonds. To be more specific, currently the way dynamic bond system works is when you interact with a bone lower down in the hierarchy, the ones above it are not affected unless you pull on it. Is there a way to upgrade dynamic bonds in such a way that it behaves more physically accurate, as in collide with a tip bone, and the movement cascades down the hierarchy? That's just one example of what I mean. Actually, do they?
Yeah, because I think they only really cascade, like, one way with the interaction, because they do. I think I read the code once, and they do one pass of fabric that's not even, like, a full fabric pass. It's just the forward pass. It doesn't actually go backwards.
But the weird thing is, like, I'm, like, literally trying it now with the ears, and it does seem to cascade. Like because if I'm, like, poking the tip of the ear, it does pull the ear.
I think that, like,
so
they're probably thinking more like something that has, like, a sort of, like, tensile, what's the word? Tensile, like, rigidity to it or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it would actually help to, like, do, like, a video or something, because, like, if I'm trying it right now, like from what you're saying, like, it sounds like if you just do, like, it just bends the end of it, but, that's not what's happening on my ears. I'm literally, like, trying it right now, and, like, it does push the thing. So I don't know, like, it'll probably, like, I feel this would help, like, to have like a video to kind of better understand what you're wanting. We could definitely make changes to the system, expand it and so on, but right now I'm not fully understanding what behavior you want. I'm just kind of making assumptions, and usually I don't like, I don't like working based on assumptions. Like, I want something like a video or something, so I have like good understanding of what is it you actually want. So feel free to make GitHub issue like with what kind of behavior like you want, and then we can look into it more. Just gonna go this one. Next question. Oh, is this the correct? Yeah, it's the correct one, I think. Next question. Oh, let me delete this one. Ooh. So how much time? Oh, we've got like 15 minutes left, so we should be able to get through the questions, but like it is possible we might not be able to answer all of the questions, depending how complex these are. We got like 15 minutes left, so we'll see. Oh. Zerax is asking, what do the relays exactly do? Do UDP punch through? No, they actually kind of come in play where the UDP punch through fails. So there's like two nodes, there's the punch through nodes and there's the relay nodes. UDP punch through, that's usually what Resonite will attempt first. So they, it tries to make a direct connection because that's most efficient, doesn't require, much like on our end. If that fails, and in some cases it will fail, it'll fall back to the relay. And the relay is essentially just relaying all the packets you're sending because like you cannot make direct connection. So all the data you're sending goes to the relay and the relay sends it to the other end and vice versa. So it sort of like, relays all the data that's going back and forth, which is a lot more heavy. It requires a lot of bandwidth, like a bunch of processing. It increases latency, but that's why it's a fallback. It's like, if your network is not suitable for punch through, then it's, it falls back to the relay. Also, I think as a follow-up, we got a follow-up question from Xervax. I'm there because I have a very restricted firewall, like nothing is allowed to get in unless it's like whitelisted. How does that work? Yeah, that would usually prevent, usually what happens is if we have a strict NAT. So there's different NAT types, and the way punch through works is essentially establishes outgoing connection from both ends at the same time, which creates a NAT rule. But if it's a strict NAT, it doesn't allow incoming connection on the same port that you just make an outgoing connection out of. So you might check if you can lower how strict your NAT is. That might make punch through work. It also sometimes just doesn't depend depending where you get routed through, what network you have. There's a lot of variables. But if you can configure the strictness of the NAT, that might help. Might be worth trying. Yeah, MidDev2 was asking. Oops. I can already ask this one, but let's do this one. MidDev2, what's your favorite type of mirror? Aha. I wish it was Halloween because my favorite type of mirror is the Eldritch mirror. And also, actually, no, we can, on April 1st, we can enable mirrors that don't mirror. Because we made mirrors that don't mirror, because that's big problem. You look at a text in a mirror and it's mirrored. It's, who made it that way. So when it comes on April 1st, check your settings and you'll be able to enable a fix that makes mirrors not mirror. And yeah, different video would help better understand things. Next question is from ArtBio3. Question about the full body. I noticed the full body tracking in Resonite is possible, but it's really hard to set up well. In some parts, it takes just so much time, especially for new users coming from other platforms who don't know much about full body yet. It's hard to get it looking okay without a lot of trial and error. Is there any plans to make full body easier or more beginner-friendly in the near future? Yes, we do want to replace the full body system, well, specifically the IK system that's kind of powering the full body, with our custom in-house system designed to fix a lot of the issues that are being kind of faced right now. It's pretty high on the list, so we're definitely gonna work on it this year. Yeah, I kind of struggle with it as well because my tracker is kind of making the neck scrangly and stuff, and I use full body pretty much all the time in VR, and I kind of want it to get fixed. But it is a bit bigger project because we are currently using a port of the final IK, and it has a number of issues. We actually fixed some of the issues it had, reworking parts of it, but to fix it more fundamentally, we just need to replace it with a system that's designed and optimized specifically for Resonite, and it's designed for how our platform works, and designed to work really well. So it's definitely going to be one of the things we'll be working on. So with this, we've got 10 minutes left still, and that's actually all the questions. So if you got any more, feel free to ask, but probably not super deep questions at this point. So we can answer it in time. We might do a little bit of oh no. I don't like this.
I do.
You're not in VR. Let's sit in VR.
I know I'm not in VR. I can still get you though. I can still get you. I can get you.
Oh, jeez.
You should fall off the box.
Fall down.
I wish I could summon a joystick so I could move around.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of what I was thinking. If you did if you did controls for finger tracking, it's have you pull a certain way and it's a gesture, and you have a joystick can move around or do stuff.
I made a very simple one last night where I can grab these and move myself around a little bit.
There you can move around.
I can also turn a little bit too. I'm just doing this with my hands. I'm grabbing thin air.
That's so weird because it makes you look like you're in VR, but also not. It's like uncanny valley, in a way. It's you're giving me vibes of VR user, but also it's not quite right.
I wonder if I can. Right.
Oh, you should be able to do finger gesture, yeah. Actually, I don't know what else in desktop.
It'd be a little hard.
I don't know if it suppresses it in desktop or not.
I did it the other day.
Okay, so it does work.
Come on.
Oh
my gosh, come on. Make this easier. Make this easier. Oh. Nearly. I almost had it. I'll do it the quest way.
This is so weird.
Can I even do the finger? I almost had it. Oh wait, I had it. Oh, I had it. I had it.
Oh, we got a few more questions too, so we can go through those. Tom is asking, do you want to keep everything backwards compatible, or would you consider breaking changes? So generally, we consider breaking changes only as last resort. A lot of the systems in Resonite, they're designed to be heavily backwards compatible, So if we were to break something, there needs to be very, very strong reason to do it. Because making things, compatible long term, not breaking people's content, that's one of our core philosophies. So it's something we will not do lightly. There's been a few cases where we kind of had to do it a bit. In most cases, it's like, in most cases, it's kind of like, more like, it's technically breaking change, but like it still works, it just kind of looks a bit different. So for example, the color management was kind of like one where we tried to get it as close as possible. The zeta reverb, there was another one where we had to replace the unity reverb, and we couldn't make it sound the same because the system was just not available. So we had to get close to the old system, but it does sound different, and there was just no other way around it. And generally we will avoid making changes that would lead us to having to make those decisions. So it's kind of, it goes both ways, where it's like we try really hard to make sure we're not put in a position where we have to make decision to make a breaking change, and also when we do have to make a breaking change, we make sure there's really no other alternative, and we have lots of system design to just avoid the becoming situation we need to deal with. And we've went to really great lengths. There's a lot of adapters and backwards compatibility code that just converts old behaviors and matches the old behavior. For example, with the particle system, I literally 2 months, at least 2 months of the development of the photon dust was spent just making sure it's backwards compatible on old systems, and the quirks of the old system get converted to behave the same in the new system. So we are pretty dedicated to long-term backwards compatibility. Next question's from Sarah. Sarah turning into Eldritch Desktop and Eldritch VR, or both. I don't know. It's either way. It's Eldritch. It's being pulled weird. Computer use is asking, any idea on time frame for when next major thing will be announced? As I could expect, the statement within the next few days, next few weeks, or a few months. I know I asked this during recap stream, and I understand if you simply do not have any time frame. I mean, yeah, if you asked yesterday during the recap stream, we're not really gonna give you a different answer. We don't really have time frame. We'll announce it when we're ready. We've got 3 minutes left, so this is probably gonna be the last question. Oh, wrong one. What is this? So weird in this world. There we go. An average finger photo experience. Speaking of plans to make that better. Yeah, it kind of needs to be the regular version a bit. It's actually a funny thing, because it used to be much easier to trigger. But there were 2 problems. One, people would trigger it all the time, just they would be just talking like this, and suddenly they're taking a photo, they're talking, and suddenly suddenly this happens. So we actually had to make it a little bit more restrictive, which made it harder to trigger. But it still wasn't actually as hard to trigger. But then, because it is based on the finger positions from the controllers, Valve, they changed how this works. They changed how these fingers bend, and especially if you bend like this, your thumb, and just get a random screenshot, your thumb is, you see how it's bending like this? It didn't used to do that. That they introduced that behavior at some point, and it made it a lot harder to trigger. But there's also some problems with the math, where stuff like this, this shouldn't be possible, but it is, because they messed something up. I don't know what it is, but it does need sort of a pass through it and make it better. With that, we have 1 minute left, so pretty much gonna end it here. So thank you everyone for coming to the stream. Thank you for all the questions. I hope you enjoyed listening to the answers. You learned much more about Resonite. And thank you everyone, for supporting the platform, whether it's like, just by playing, or like, talking about it, showcasing the cool stuff you make, or, supporting us like, financially. If you're supporting us Patreon, we strongly recommend switching to Stripe because we get about 10% more, from the same amount of money. But either way, like, supporting us helps. It lets us keep going and, keep the lights on and keep like developing this platform and making sure we can stay as focused on the community as we can. Because like, it helps kind of keep us independent. So thank you very much for your support. Thank you for watching the stream. We'll see you with the next one. Should be next week. I'm gonna check if there's anybody to raid. So if anybody's streaming Resonite right now, or if you're considering streaming Resonite, this is a perfect time to do it because you will get raided. Let me just open it up, make sure I have this.
Wait, I think he accidentally dropped false in the stream.
Oh, did I break it? How? Yeah, this word is cursed. Like, sorry, we like missed any questions, but we also don't have time for any anyway. So I'm checking anybody streaming Resonite, and it's just us, unfortunately. Creator Gem's no longer streaming, so unfortunately this ends here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
Bye,
Resonite.
guys.
So thank you very, very much for watching, and bye. See you with the next one.
Oh, I'm gonna get
Oh,
you.
no,
I'm gonna
no,
get
no, no, no,
you.
I'm stopping now.